This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Let's do another question here. And this is an interesting one just because I don't think we've talked about it before. David K wants to know, do you have any stories from the Rock and Roll Express Summer Sizzler tour? I think that was 86, right? And I think the theory was at the time, Arn, you had two touring brands for Jim Crockett Promotions. In this era, the WWF had, I believe, 3 sets of groups. They ran an A-Town, a B-Town, and a C-Town. And Bruce would say, well, those C-Towns were usually fundraisers and high school gyms, but you did have A and B. And so maybe Hogan's on top on one show, the Intercontinental Champion is on top on the other show. Well, in this era of Crockett, I think it was like Flair and Dusty on one and the Rock and Roll Express on the other. That's pretty rarefied air when you've got a tag team act headlining a whole tour. And they called it the Rock and Roll Express Summer Sizzler Tour. Any memories from that tour with them in 86?
Well, the specifics, I think, go like this. That we were pounding those bashes big time. And the travel schedule was brutal. A lot of war games, a lot of cage matches, long matches, big shows, but a lot of travel involved too. And there was a break there. They wanted to actually give the guys a break. And so they had a date determined, and they had like 5 or 6 days. I want to say 6 days that they were going to run it was going to be what they considered a B show. And, let those guys that weren't on the bashes get a payday. They had a single main event, which was me and Ole against the Rock and Roll. And it was towns that were drivable around Charlotte, the Florence and some of those towns, smaller towns, I think Savannah and some of those, Sumter, South Carolina. I mean, incredible. But the thing was, Rock and Roll Express was as hot as anybody we had. Ole and I had some pretty good steam on us too. So they said, hey, do you guys want to work, make a payday, let these other guys make a payday. We'll call it the Summer Sizzler Tour of the Rock and Roll. We'll feature it. We'll have them on a bus or whatever their end of it was. Well, the thing was, the semi-main event was like Black Bart and Jimmy Valiant. No disrespect to any of those guys, but it was built as a single main event. It was publicized as a single main event, and the payoffs were to a single main event. And I'm going to tell you, for those 6 days, or it could have even been 7 while the other guys were off and recharging and recouping, I was scooting around the Carolinas to one of the biggest weeks I'd ever had in the business because rock and roll was on fire. Henry Marcus, who was the promoter for Florence, it was an outdoor show, stands, really no way to count all the heads because they were selling standing room only and all that. They turned in 44 grand, which meant it was probably 70 grand. Henry Marcus's ankles got thicker as the night went by, stuffing those 20s in there. And buddy, we had what turned out to be a tremendous week. So when it was all said and done, I didn't get the rest. The trips were not bad. It was fun. It was a piece of cake. We made a nice chunk of change.
I love talking about the good old days like that.
Loved it.
Mayhem wants to know, Jim Cornette made a comment that Bobby Eaton's 2-year-old daughter crashed his car into yours. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I think it was out in the driveway. Yeah, it's kind of hard to get mad at a 2-year-old. Especially if I drag them out of the car and they kick my ass. How am I going to explain that? Really no upside to getting upset about that. I think it was one of those deals that she just got in and just, I was parked probably in front of Bobby's car. I think she just popped it out of gear, and it was one of those roll collisions. Don't remember exactly, but I'm sure it happened.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.